You're probably wondering why it took me so long to play this game. Honestly, I was never really interested in the franchise. I always thought it seemed cool, but wasn't for me. I heard a lot of great things about the story, but the gameplay footage I saw never piqued my interest. And usually I'm drawn towards gameplay over story. But after playing it, even though my hunch about the gameplay was mostly correct, I was pleasantly surprised and I'm glad I played Uncharted Drake's Fortune. The game is set on a small island off the coast of South America, where you find an old abandoned city with buildings in ruin. And it's done pretty well. It looks great for a game that came out in 2007. Granted, I did play the remastered version on the PS4 Uncharted collection. It's not going to blow you away visually, especially if you don't play games from this era anymore. But for someone like me who likes to go back and play 7th gen games, it holds up pretty well from a visual standpoint. The story is best described as a modern day Indiana Jones, which I'm sure you've heard before. Without spoiling anything, I'll give you a quick overview. You'll spend your time following clues while enemies are close on your tail. There's some really cool history involved, and even some World War II stuff sprinkled in. The story is definitely the best part of the game. If you're into history or adventure/explorer type narratives, I think you'll enjoy the story. Plus, there's even some twists and turns that caught me off guard. Now, I do have to point out the shooting. It's pretty bad. The main issue for me is how long it takes to aim down sights. This is a third-person cover shooter, so when you pop up from cover to start shooting enemies, you're left open to get shot at for a long time before you can even start shooting back. It can be pretty frustrating at times. I'm sure some people would argue the long ADS time makes it more realistic or something, but it doesn't make for very fun gameplay. Also, the climbing is pretty mindless and boring. Whenever you're climbing, there's really only one direction to go. However, there are moments the game still manages to create that feeling you get when you look over a huge cliff. Most of the gameplay is spent either shooting or climbing, so it just sucks that the two main gameplay mechanics aren't very enjoyable. There's a few puzzles along the way, but what the game considers a puzzle is just looking at your notebook, which magically has all the answers. Like your notebook will say, "Move the statue to face north in order to open the door." And yep, you just walk over and do exactly what the notebook says. Towards the end of the game, there is a pretty cool puzzle area where you actually have some options and have to figure stuff out, and that was actually pretty fun. The last 2 or 3 hours is really where this game shines. I know that might not seem like a lot, but this game only took me about 8 hours to beat, so it's almost a third of the playtime. And the rest of the game does have its moments, like shooting a machine gun on the back of a truck while being chased, and driving the jet ski up a river. But again, the highlight of this game is definitely the story. So overall, I'm giving this game a 6 out of 10. I really like the story, the setting, and exploring the island. The gameplay was mediocre, but had its moments, especially in the third act. If the whole game was as good as the last few hours, it would probably be a 7 or 8. I can't recommend this game to everyone. If you don't really play games from this era, there's stuff like the shooting that did not age well. And I can imagine it would be really hard to get past that if you only play games that came out within the last couple years. I wouldn't consider it a must-play from this era, like BioShock or Halo 3, but it's still pretty decent, and I don't regret playing it. I'm excited to play Uncharted 2. A lot of people say it's the best in the series, so hopefully it improves on some of the issues I had with Drake's Fortune. I don't know when I'll get around to playing it, but I'll let you guys know what I think of it when I do. What do you guys think about the first Uncharted? Do you think it aged well? And what other games should I play? Let me know down below.